So next we have our chief engineer, Rob McCleary here. Okay, so the advance is this back, and then that's the laser pointer. Okay?
Awesome.
Okay. And then the countdown.
I'm not looking at that countdown clock.
Countdown timer is right there.
I'm adding
25
time. I'm adding
minutes.
time. It took me like a month to decide whether I was going to present, and now I'm not coming off, right? That's the game. Welcome to the 2018 Winter Workshop. We're going to have awesome presentations besides my own. And I wanted to get into this presentation right away. We've had some fantastic accomplishments in 2017. I was reminded of the 100-year celebration we did. And like Mary was talking about, I went there and they had a presentation of all the things from DelDot over the last 100 years. And as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, those artifacts are the tools I used when I started. Polar planimeter, there were ink stamps, it was awesome. And the best one, I think, were some of the traffic items. They had the old roadway markers that they would use during an incident. It was like a steel ball with a fuse. It looked like a bomb, right? It was loaded with kerosene. They'd light it on fire, right? What could go wrong with that? And that was the technology of the day, but that was before me. But absolutely right, we are going to find that the pace of technology is going to just continually change and speed up, and it'll be completely different at the end of your career than it was at the beginning, and that's a good thing. So let's talk a little bit about our accomplishments in 2017. We had 54 projects advertised. Many more go out by open end, so they don't get advertised, just go right out to a contract. So there's well over 100, maybe closer to 200 projects that we have active at any moment. We had 43 projects completed, meaning that their last chargeable day was in FY17. So that's a lot of work that's getting done. If you look at it from the amount of money we expend as an indicator of work activity, when you look from 15 to 16, we increased our spend by 43%. From 16 to 17, we increased another 18%. And so far in 18, we're about even with 17. After 32 weeks of the fiscal year, we're at right around $90 million of expended funds. So, and that's just the roadway system. That's all I'm talking about is the roadway system. There must be hundreds of IT projects because they support us in every aspect of our work. Not to mention what finance has going on, and DTC and DMV and the maintenance projects. There's a lot of work and a lot to be proud of that we're accomplishing every day here. And then on top of that, we have award-winning employees. So FHWA gave our right-of-way guys a national award for their work in reviewing their processes, procedures, rewriting their manuals, and improving the way we deliver our right-of-way program. So Bob and Beth and Robbie, that was an awesome recognition. And I think that's only like every other year they give that award. That was a really, really big deal. Another award we won was the National Award for Traffic Safety. So Adam and his team, now I can't claim Adam anymore, but we will for this moment because he was one of ours when he put it in. But he implemented the high friction surface treatment, so put down 20 locations around the state, monitored them before and after. We actually saw a 56% reduction in crashes as a result of that treatment. What a huge benefit that is to the citizens of Delaware. So, you know, what an accomplishment for us and for everybody that uses our roads. We're not going to sit on our laurels. For 2018, we have some broad goals and some accomplishments we've already done. So the ADA transition plan, congratulations to Todd. Wow. We already got that out in 2018, in January last month. Congratulations to all the folks who worked on the pedestrian accessibility standards. That is done. It will be published today. So that's the 2018 update to our pedestrian accessibility standards. That'll be on our website. They wanted me to hold up 2 like Moses coming down from the mountaintop. It doesn't even have a cover on it yet. We're gonna get a cover, I think. Let's see. There are a few things I specifically want to focus on for our projects and how we interact on our projects. So we're going to improve project delivery. This is something we've been working on for a long time, really, since I've come in. But we are going to focus on the things that we have control over. We're going to try to eliminate the things that we do that we don't have to do. And we're going to try to speed up project delivery. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. We're going to work on improving our communications to be more responsive and customer service oriented, especially to each other. And we always talk about the external factors here, but when I look at the issues we see, the problems we face, a lot of it is, and I would say the vast majority of it is, just communication. If we just communicate better with each other, we will improve tremendously. We're going to continue our recruiting and retention efforts. We've got some exciting things that we're doing along those lines, and we're going to expand our project recognition and awards so we can get credit for the great work that gets done here at DelDot. So let's dive into this in a little bit more detail so you know what I'm talking about. For project delivery, we're supposed to be on time and on budget. Those are the performance standards we set for ourselves, and there's a lot of things that have an impact and control over whether we're on time and on budget. So there's a lot of things we don't control, external factors like permits and political aspects, but internally, lots of stuff we can control and we can dive into. So design detail, right? The level of information we put in our plans, the level of time, and just all of those details that we put in, it can be a low amount, it can be a high amount, and that has a profound impact on cost and time to deliver a project, as does our process and procedures. So all the plan distributions we do, all the people who have to review and approve, all of that has an impact. So we can make that easier, we can make it complex. You can look at constructability, and a lot of folks might think constructability is not something we can control. I would argue it is. We get a lot of decision-making authority as to what we build, where we build it, when we build it. Those are things that weigh into constructability. It creates a series of knowns and unknowns. And at the end of the day, your constructability can be clear or unclear depending on those decisions that we make. Accountability. So employee accountability. When we have our monthly performance meetings, I say it's not about employee accountability. It's about delivering our projects more quickly. How can we do that? I look at employee accountability and I see it's still something we need to think about because it has an impact. Whether there really is employee accountability or not, there could be none, there could be a lot of consequences. I think there's a perceived accountability out there. Whether it exists or not, it affects our decision making. Are folks able to make decisions? Do they feel comfortable making decisions? Do they feel like if I get it wrong, I'm going to be in trouble? Is there some gorilla in the closet that's going to jump out and rip me from limb to limb if I get it wrong? You know, that has a way of paralyzing decision making, slowing down our projects. So we have to look at employee accountability as a balance. If you have none, then why would anybody bother working, right? There has to be a certain amount in the right balance so that we deliver our program efficiently. You can look at risk. So risk, well, that may be another one. Well, I can't control risk. Actually, you can manage risk. So your risk can be low or high. When I look at risk, I think, what are the contingency plans I can put in place to manage this risk? If I start a paving job on a Sunday and the hot mix plant breaks, do I have a contingency plan? Not like that didn't happen this morning, right? If you came through Little Heaven. So that kind of thing can happen. So do you have extra equipment? Do you have alternate sources of material? Have you really thought about your contingency plan to manage that risk? That is something we can control to a certain extent. And then there's the mentality or the attitude. Kind of related to employee accountability, but there is a difference there. So when I look at your attitude, our attitude, how we approach our projects, we can be customer service oriented or we can have like a regulator mentality. Now, what do I mean by that? Customer service is helpful, a problem solver, a creative thinker. You're part of the team and you're trying to get this project done. A regulator is more inflexible. I'm the gatekeeper. The answer is no until I say it's yes, right? I'm checking boxes. That has an impact on whether we deliver these projects efficiently or not. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. All right, so this is a typical project, right? If I think about this low risk, it's a low risk project. And we have our typical process we follow. There's a lot of detail, there's a lot of procedures we have to go through, and it takes a certain amount of time. I've asked Jim to work with all of you. I've asked all of you to look at your processes and procedures over the last couple of years, and we've been doing that. We're going to do more of it this year, and the big difference is I'm going to be asking Jim to work with you and empower Jim to tweak your processes and procedures if we need to. So I really want to make headway on this. But let's look at this low-risk project. Should the design detail be the status quo? I would argue it could probably be a lot less, especially if this is routine work we've all done 1,000 times, we know what it is. Should the process and procedures be the same? I think not. We don't have to start at survey plans, we can start at semi-final plans. We've got a lot of good examples out there like the paving program and a number of programs out there that actually do this and they do it well, and I think we can learn from that and we can apply that in other areas of our business and other types of projects. These types of jobs, the constructability is usually very clear. The customer service sometimes needs to be better, right? And then let's think about employee accountability. If the path has been cleared for us to get these out the door and you still don't meet your deadlines, maybe there needs to be more consequences for that. We need to think about it, right? I don't want to hamper decision making, but I do want to meet deadlines. All right, let's look at a different example. How about a high risk location? So, I don't know, maybe out working on I-95 like the rehab on the Wilmington Viaduct. That's going to be a high risk job. You tend to think constructability isn't always as clear there. That's a rehab. You don't know what you're going to get into, right? You can't necessarily control everything out there. You're going to be in traffic on an interstate. We probably need to invest a little bit more in design detail on a job like that. We probably need to put a little bit more effort into our processes and procedures. We want to get more eyes looking at this. And if we invest that time and that money, I should see that constructability come back to more clear. If we don't get more clear out of our plans, then why are we spending all that time and money? Right? There has to be a return on that investment. I would argue employee accountability needs to be less on a job like that. I think most folks would probably say, no, we got to, really hold people accountable. Deadlines on a job like this probably aren't the most important thing. It's about getting it right. It's about investing the time and making decisions, timely decisions, so the project keeps moving forward. We need to think about that. We want to empower our employees to make decisions and don't be afraid to fail, because that's part of the learning process. It's not the end of the world. We need to look at customer service. Maybe we need to be more regulator focused on these high-risk jobs. Maybe not. I mean, I would argue you probably even need to be more helpful, more creative, more of a team player on these jobs if we ever want to get them done. Otherwise, we just keep going in circles. So the point of this is to say one size does not fit all. We have to tailor our processes and procedures to the type of work that's in front of us. And I'm going to challenge you this year to really look at it. Map out your processes. Think about it. We can't continue to do things the same old way and get better, right? Something has to change. And we're not that we're doing bad, but we can always do better. That should be our goal every day, is constant improvement. I want to be a little better today than I was yesterday. All right, let's talk about communication, because communication is one of those things we struggle with. Be customer service oriented. So what do I mean by that? That means a mindset of basically being helpful, creative. I talked about that, but it's got to be this team mentality that every member has a part to play in helping the department provide excellent services to the citizens. That every role is important, that we can't be successful without each individual being successful. It's about being we, not me, right? It doesn't matter whether you're processing purchase orders or you're inspecting a construction site or you're drawing plans or any other job we do out there. Everybody's part of that team and has to feel that they're part of that team. It's about us, not us versus them. And it's about making improvements, because if we don't do it, who will? So be reasonable. And everybody says, well, reasonable is individual. What I think is reasonable is different than what everybody else thinks reasonable. I'm going to tell you what I think is reasonable. And I'm going to ask you to think about this and adopt it as best you can. So being reasonable means you seek to listen first, right? You seek to understand. You look for common goals. It means you use common sense. It means you think creatively to find ways to get our work done. It means you find ways to say, yes, we can, and avoid letting no be your first answer. And then do what's in the best interests of travelers and Delaware citizens. So that means looking at the big picture. What are the broad needs of the department? It means you think beyond the limitations of your current job duties, right? Think about that. So our mission doesn't change, right? Our mission, if teleportation was a real thing, right? If you open the paper and it said, Elon Musk invented teleportation, SpaceX and the Tesla and the Hyperloop was a distraction, the diversion, and he's really been working on teleportation, and here it is, it works, right? Would our mission change? It would not. Your job would change, right? Your duties would change, but the mission would still be, what is it? You're getting better at it. Not really great, but it's excellence in transportation, right? That doesn't change, but it means that you understand our mission, right? When you communicate and you do what's in the best interests of our citizens, it means you understand our mission. You wake up every day and you say, I know what my mission is. And you find ways to support your mission through your job. So I'll show you a little bit about what our mission is here, right? Our mission is removing barriers. And that's everybody. Regardless of where you work, that's your mission. Your job is processing a purchase order or supporting us with new software or drawing a plan or inspecting a pipe run. Our mission is removing barriers. Our mission is providing bus stops so people don't have to stand out in the rain. Our mission is clearing sidewalks so folks can walk to work or walk to the store. Our mission is paving the roads and keeping the roads smooth. Responding to incidents, that's our mission. That's a huge part of our mission. In fact, it may eclipse every other aspect of our mission, right, or of all our other jobs. Making sure that the system is open and the roads are available to people. We do this every day, and seemingly some weeks it is every day. There's a truck rollover, there's a road closed, fires. This one brought down a traffic signal in Camden and closed Route 13. That's our mission and probably the highest priority at the moment. Speaking of high priorities, every Friday afternoon we go out and we find another bridge that needs to be worked on, right? So that's Trussum Pond. That's our mission. Responding to holes in bridge decks, that's our mission. Planning big events like NASCAR and Firefly, that's our mission. We do that. We work on that all year long for that one big day. Building trails and pathways, that's our mission. Building highways and thinking creatively about how we get more capacity out of the system we have. So the DDI, I mean, that's our mission, to be innovative, be creative, and building some of the prettiest bridges you'll ever see. That's our mission. So hopefully everybody's got it now. We know what we do. Let's talk about how we communicate. All right, so on a construction contract, this is where it lives. right there. Construction engineer, area engineer, contractor. It's a family tree with one trunk, right? Everybody else that's there that gets involved, you're not really in the family tree. You're cousins, right? I want to make it clear. There's one person or one line of authority that directs the contractor. That's the only way we can control our schedule and our budget. So very important work getting done by traffic safety and our field control and our environmental compliance efforts, incredibly important. But when you come out on the job site, you cannot direct the contractor. You interact with the construction folks. And if you're a construction inspector or an area engineer, when somebody from the Civil Rights Office comes in and wants to talk about DBE or prompt payment issues, or somebody from traffic safety has an issue, you don't send them packing, and you don't say, oh yeah, just go talk to the contractor. You don't abdicate your authority. You have to be part of that conversation. That's the only way we get this right. So sometimes these construction contracts involve more than just the construction engineer. Sometimes they grow and they include myself or the secretary. So that can happen when there's a construction claim. That can happen when there's an incident in a work zone. So we'll get into that. So let's talk about incidents, because they happen all the time. For the most part, the TMC handles it. Traffic safety, traffic signals, they're reporting through the TMC. They'll call in resources from M&O. They'll interact with community relations to get the word out. There's a road closed somewhere, but 99% of what happens lives right there. They handle it day in and day out, and it goes great. But occasionally, these incidents grow, and they encompass everybody. You know, when you have a bridge tilt on I-495, or you have the penny truck, you know, tip over on 95, or you have a truck roll over at Biddle's Toll Plaza. You've got a major artery shut down. Everybody's involved in this, and it is our top priority. The Secretary is interacting with the Office of the Governor. Fire and EMS is out there interacting with the TMC and the Secretary. The state police are out there interacting with everybody. If there's hazmat involved, DENREC's out there, and they're talking to the Secretary and TMC and our hazmat folks, and they're all talking to each other. And if I had the time, I would have put 1,000 lines on here, because everybody's talking out here. The Secretary is literally going to call anybody she needs to, regardless of where you are in the organization. If she needs action and she thinks you're the one that can deliver, you're going to get a phone call. All right, let's think about how you manage that exchange, because sometimes these incidents overlap with our construction contracts. That construction contract at this point is a resource to the department. That's all it is. And as a construction engineer, you're sitting there thinking, I got to control my scope and my budget. And some guy's going to come out here claiming he's acting on behalf of the Secretary and asking me to bring a crane or bring a piece of equipment or bring materials. Who's this guy, right? You need to manage that exchange, because that incident is our top priority. If you don't feel you have the authority to allocate those resources, raise it quickly up your chain of command. You can call me directly if you need to, but that's something we have to deal with right then and there. We need fast answers. Growing the project scope and budget is not the worst thing in the world. Sometimes that's okay. When we had the bridge tilt, we had 50,000 tons of soil that needed to be moved. I used an emergency snow removal contract from maintenance and operations to get it done. That's just, you use the resources you have at your disposal. All right, let's talk about special events. So these are planned, might work on them for a year. They live right in traffic safety between the event director, the volunteers, the participants. They interact with TMC. But again, sometimes these things grow, and they encompass M&O and community relations, some of these really big events. And sometimes these big events have a way of turning into incidents. So they will include the Secretary. So we had one right before Christmas with a Santa Claus display right in the middle of one of our construction contracts, and a guy got killed. He walked out there and got hit by a car, and we needed a quick response. So that special event overlapped with our construction, and we needed changes. When they come out, they're being called by the secretary, and they speak to a construction person, you know what your authority is, you know who your chain of command is. If you have any questions, you raise it up quickly through your chain of command, and you get the authority you need to make those improvements. So in a nutshell, that is the level of communication we need out there. You need to stay engaged, you need to be courteous, you need to be responsive to each other, and you need to keep the big picture in mind. All right, let's talk about our recruitment and retention, because that's one of the big goals for us this year. What is the biggest thing affecting our recruitment and retention? Anybody tell me, what's the biggest thing? So you weren't that quiet on your employee satisfaction surveys. And some of you wrote in all caps. Right? So we heard you. It is salary, it's compensation, right? We get it. We know that's coming. And that has made its way across town. The governor's aware of it. His new agency, the Department of Human Resources, they're aware of it. They are initiating a compensation review across all the job classifications. That'll go this year. It is going to take time. We know that, but we think we can get first in line, and we think that the study, the work that we do, can be a model for other agencies, so they will want to look at what we're doing first. And so we've done some already, and we're going to continue doing that and continue pushing. So the EPS techs, that was one that went over. We're still working on it. The planners, we're still working on it. ITS and signal techs, they're in the mix this year, and DMV specialists, they're in the mix this year. There may be others that I may not be aware of, but we are trying to push wherever we have recruitment and retention problems. Last year we were successful with PPTMs, and there was another one that is escaping me at the moment. But that is a big part of our recruitment and retention. We get it, and we're working on it. We're going to continue our University of Delaware co-op program. That's been very successful in bringing in new engineers. Our summer internship program, both for college and high school kids. If you look and you say, where did all of you come from? Are you local or are you out of state? I'm just curious, show of hands. Did you grow up in Delaware? How many grew up? So that's at least half. Right, that's a big chunk of people grew up in Delaware, decided to make their career here and live here. That's the prime target. So we are trying very hard to recruit local kids and steer them towards transportation careers. So hopefully we get them back and we give them opportunities in the summer. Special shout out to the bridge guys, because they've been doing this for a long time. Craig Stevens, if you're here, I gotta thank you personally, because you spent so much time, Craig, and his team literally have been doing. I think it's a calling for it. As funny as Craig is, he's a serious guy about this. This is a shot from one of the elementary schools, and it's awesome. If you can see it, there's a little girl in the back who's striking a pose, and there's like the cool guy with his arm like that, and there's one little guy in the corner making bunny ears, and I'm not sure if that's a relation, Craig. It's one of yours? No? So I love this picture, but they've been out there for years interacting with kids and trying to get them excited about going into STEM programs, which then leads to engineering and hopefully transportation. We need to do more of this, so that's why we're funding the AASHTO track program. That's for middle school and high school kids. It's a national bridge competition. We're going to be doing that this year. Nick Dean and Scott Walls and Gus Toussaint, and there's a whole bunch of guys from Bridge that have been working on this, and I'm very proud of their efforts, and it's gonna reap big rewards for us, I think. I would love for the Delaware kids to be holding the giant check. These are kids from Michigan that won last year. I had a chance to see the presentation, and I want that to be Delaware kids going forward. We're gonna continue the DelDot Innovation Fair, another huge success from 2017. My hat's off to the Leadership Academy, because they did an awesome job pulling that together. But we're going to extend it to high school STEM programs, and they're going to be able to come in, see what we're doing. They're going to be able to compete for summer internships and scholarships. And hopefully we get some of those kids eventually to be DelDot employees. We're also going to continue the Delaware State Fair. So the bridge guys brought their big Lego bridge down the past couple of years, and last summer they had it in a a Lego build competition. So I think it would be a great challenge to all of our consultant friends in the room to create a pro division and see if you can beat these kids. I'm just guessing you're not. I walked around, I saw what these kids came up with. It was amazing. But I think it could be a fun thing for our engineering companies, IT companies, everybody who gets involved in our business could come out and participate in this, either through a sponsorship or maybe entering a team. So look for that this summer. So our recognition and awards, we're going to continue doing a lot of this. We need to recognize our folks for the great work that they do. You know, Billy got the challenge coin, was it last week, a couple weeks ago, for the work he did on creating the new agenda for our project status meetings, and quite a few folks have gotten the challenge coin. It's a little way to recognize great work when people go above and beyond. In some of these inventions that people have come up with at the Innovation Fair, the third eye that was mounted on one of the plows, the hitch-mounted sign, the rectangular rapid flash, and so many others, the supplemental EIS that the PD guys came up with. There's a lot that you think about that folks are doing great work. We need to recognize it. So we're going to be putting in for some project awards. We're going to be putting in for the AASHTO Award. That's the America's Transportation Awards. We've got 3 nominations going in for the American Society of Highway Engineers, ARPA Sponsors Awards. So we'll be doing all of those and trying to get recognition on a national level. We had 7 different nominations this year for the Governor's Team Excellence Award, which is a big deal. I don't think we've ever had that many. But so there was a DMV dealer portal. There were 2 nominations for the small wireless facility work that got done through the legislation last year. Systematic roadway safety was one of them. There's a whole bunch. The DTC beach bus service, the administration building remodel. And if you had lived through the last remodel compared to this remodel, a world of difference. Shantae and Karen Potter and that whole team was fantastic with that. And went so smoothly. And then our maintenance guys put in the Irma storm response, where they took a team and caravan down to Florida and helped recover. So these are the kinds of things we're going to continue working on. It's a big deal to me, and it's even maybe a bigger deal to our secretary. She wants to see this. She gets excited about it, and you are not going to tell her no. So we want to see your ideas. If you have ideas of more things like this we can do, we want to hear about it. Come talk to me, and we'll see how we can get it done and into the program. So those are my opening remarks. Welcome to the Winter Workshop. We've got a great agenda, and hopefully you're going to have fun over the next 2 days.